We're joined now by Alex Hao, partner in Jun He. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you very much.
Tell us about your company and what your involvement is, what you specialize in.
Well, thank you. Jun He is actually the first Chinese law firm to open an office outside of mainland China. We actually came here to New York in 1993. So this year we've actually been here for 21 years. And for the most of the past 21 years, we have been helping U.S. clients going to China. A lot of U.S. clients found it very convenient to have an office here to talk to us, in the same time zone, pick up the phone, or have a face-to-face meeting. That was the bulk of our work for the past 21 years. And what's recent about these past few years is that we're seeing a lot of Chinese clients, our existing clients in China. These Chinese companies are increasingly coming out to the States. And we sort of act as their outside general counsel, if you will. And they trust us. They've worked with us for many years. They come to us and say, look, we're now coming to the States. We've worked with you in China for 10, 15, 20 years. And now it's our first time to make an investment in the United States or in other countries. How can you guys help us? We don't know any lawyers here. We don't know any bankers here. So what we do a lot of times is to connect the Chinese companies with not just their business counterparties, but also the professionals, the lawyers, the bankers, the accountants. So we sort of play a bridge role, now increasingly a two-way.
Some of the major U.S. investors, when they go over to China, have said that they've dealt with some corruption. What can you tell us about the anti-bribery efforts?
This is actually a very new thing. From about 1.5 years ago, I would say, there's been some high-profile investigations into the multinationals by the Chinese government. For example, my firm we have been working for about a year representing GlaxoSmithKline, a major pharmaceutical company based in UK and also here in the US, responding to the Chinese government's investigations. And that was in the front pages of Wall Street Journal weeks in a row last year, and it's still going on. So I think for a lot of multinationals, I think the truth of the matter is, the compliance cost of doing business in China is just increasing. And you have to be more careful and more cautious than before in terms of complying with Chinese anti-bribery laws and also labor and employment laws, for example, anti-monopoly laws, price fixing, for example. All these things are sort of adding up to your compliance costs. But I think looked at from another perspective, we are seeing that if you look at it from a positive perspective, these are sort of leveling the playfield a little bit, because a lot of multinational companies used to complain about corruption in China. So if these efforts could be directed to multinationals and Chinese companies equally, I think that's actually good news for multinationals ultimately.
Alex, would you talk to us for a moment about the relaxation in China of outbound investments?
Yes, there has been a significant relaxation as of several months ago. Right now, essentially, any outbound investment under $1 billion US will be subject to very minimal Chinese government approvals, which is great news. It works a lot to encourage many Chinese companies to come overseas, including to come to the United States to make investments. So what we're seeing now, as I said, we are sort of a two-way bridge between China and the United States. So we're seeing first-handedly that there has been so many more Chinese companies coming here, benefiting from this relaxation of the approval regime, and also benefiting from there's this snowballing effect. People are coming, and then people back in the country in China see that they're doing pretty well, and more people are coming. We're seeing more and more private companies, as opposed to, or in addition to, the state-owned enterprises coming here. So I think focusing on the private companies, I think would be the way to go. If you're a professional looking for opportunities, I would say keep an eye on the Chinese private companies coming here. It's going to provide a lot of opportunities for all of us.
Can you speak a little bit specifically about some of the opportunities that you think exist right now between the two, whether they be the Chinese investors here or the American investors in China?
Right. Coming here, I think one area I want to single out in particular would be real estate. For some reason, I now, for example, spend most of my time, majority of my time, helping clients on real estate issues. As I said, I act as general counsel, so I will work with real estate lawyers, professionals, valuation experts, everybody here to make sure that our clients get the best deal. It seems like that's the trend that's going to go on for a while. I think there's cultural reasons involved. There's other reasons Chinese people just prefer to make investments in real estate, immovable properties. They have the sense of security. And manufacturing is another area I think that's attracting a lot of Chinese investments. In terms of U.S. Investments going there, I think it's been stable. It's not something that's growing by double digits every year, contrary to very different than the trend coming here. But I think, as I said, the Chinese government is trying to build up the legal system to protect all companies more or less equally. So I think, ultimately it's going to work to the benefit of the U.S. companies investing in China. So I think China still offers a lot of opportunities: new energy, automotive industry, healthcare, senior housing, for example. Anything that takes advantage of the urbanization, of the aging population, of the new energy initiatives. I think there's a lot of opportunities in these fields and other related fields for investors.
Alex, wonderful insight. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great to talk to you today.
Thank you.